Questions quickly? All right, we're beginning session 2 here in Fuller Hall. Our first presenter will speak to us of traditional folk recording. Please give a warm welcome to J.D. Miller.
All right. Hey. Cool. All right. So I'm going to be doing my capstone presentation on I will be recording over the summer a album of 4 traditional tunes. Now, what is traditional folk? It is broadly music that has been played through generations, usually written as unified truth to big questions and ideas for the common folk. And more importantly, this music has been traveling through time and history and been seeing things that most people never get to see, and they hold this kind of almost mystical feel to them. Now, why Americana folk specifically? I grew up with a very strong love for this music. My mom plays fiddle, my brother plays guitar, and we're in a family band together. And this is kind of what I hope to do after high school, is continue these songs and make sure that their cycle does not end. Now, these are the 4 songs that I will record, which are I'll Fly Away, Mountain Dew, Billy in the Low Ground, and Shady Grove. Each of these songs has been, throughout my life, very important to me, and I found a lot of connection in them through just my own personal doings. And these people up here are the Carter family. What they did in the 1920s and 30s was go around the any part of America and finding traditional tunes to record and write. And no one had ever done that before, and they were the first family to ever record anything together. Now, the first song that I will play for you is called Billy in the Low Ground, and originally, it was recorded by this man up here, Doc Watson. And he was found in the 1960s during the folk revival and kind of exploded and influenced people like Bob Dylan and the Byrds, and totally changed the way that we see and listen to music. Now, this song has over 250 versions, and I will only play one of them for you. And that information is according to the Illinois Library. And it originates from 18th century Scotland and England, so here we go. Or Ireland and Scotland, sorry about that. Most of these songs have 2 parts, an A part and then a B part. And the B part usually gets played twice along with the A part. Are we live in here? Cool. So this is the A part. A. B. Thank you. The second song I will play and record is I'll Fly Away. And this song was written by a man named Albert E. Brumley. And he wrote this song while he was working for his father in his fields, tilling the soil. And he found himself looking up at the sky and thinking to himself, someday I'll fly away and all of my troubles will be gone along with me. And I find it a very poetic way of exercising your demons. And in the early 1920s and 30s, when the Great Depression was going on, people found themselves in immense pain. So what they did was they sang this song in gospel choirs and church greetings. And extricated their demons from them. And that information was found from the Library of Congress. And these people are David Rawlings and Gillian Welch, who recorded this song for the Oh Brother Where Art Thou soundtrack, which became very popular and people still listen to today. Some bright morning when this life is o'er, I'll fly away to that land on God's celestial shore. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, by and by. I'll fly away. When the shadows of this life have gone, I'll fly away. Like a bird from these prison walls, I'll fly. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, by and by. I'll fly away. I'll fly away, oh glory. I'll fly away in the morning when I die. Hallelujah, by and by. I'll fly away. All right, now the next song I will play for you was written by Bascom Lamar Lunsford, who was an attorney at law in the 1920s and 30s. There's a theme here. And he found himself meeting a lot of people who were making their own moonshine and making their own whiskey and putting them in jail. And he left the practice and found himself becoming a folk archivist in Asheville, North Carolina, which is where I will be learning to study this music and become more adept. And this man up here is Ralph Stanley. He's on the far right. He recorded this song in the 1940s, and it became very popular with the bluegrass scene, but it is actually a traditional, not a bluegrass tune. And all that information was from Country Thang Daily. Not very far from me, there's an old holler tree where you lay down $1 or two. You go around the bend and you come back again. There's a jug full of that good old Mountain Dew. They call it that good old Mountain Dew. And down that refuse it or few. So I'll shove my bug if you'll fill up my jug with that good old Mountain Dew. My Uncle Bill has got a still on the hill where he runs off a gallon or two. Little birds in the sky get so drunk they can't fly from smelling that good old Mountain Dew. They call it that good old Mountain Dew. And down that refuse it or few. But I'll shove my mug if you'll fill up my jug with that good old Mountain Dew. My Uncle Snort, he is sawed off and he's short, but he only measures 4 feet 2. But he thinks he's a giant when you give him a pint of that good old Mountain Dew. They call it that good old Mountain Dew, and they'll never refuse it or few. Well, I'll shove my mug if you'll fill up my jug with that good old Mountain Dew. preacher rolled by with his head high. Said his wife had been down with the flu. He said, I thought I ought just to sell him a quart of that good old Mountain Dew. They call it that good old Mountain Dew, and they'll never refuse it or do. Well, I'll shove my mug if you'll fill up my jug with that good old Mountain Dew. Now I'll shove my mug if you'll fill up my jug with that good old Mountain Dew. And the fourth and final song that I will play for you today is Shady Grove. And this song is older than time. It originated as Matty Groves, which is still played today. The more popular version is by Norman Blake. It originates from 16th century England and Scotland, and those two people up there are Robert Hunter and Jerry Garcia. And Jerry Garcia and Robert Hunter recorded a version of this in the 1960s with the folk revival along with Doc Watson. And later in his years, Jerry Garcia, he joined the Grateful Dead and became very famous, and then recorded it again with David Grisman. And when that album came out called Shady Grove, it gained much more popularity than it had seen in years. So here's my next song. Peaches in the summertime and apples in the fall. If I can't have the girl I love, I don't want none at all. Shady Grove, my little love, Shady Grove, I say. Shady Grove, my little love, I'm bound to go away. When I was a little boy, I wanted a Barlow knife. Now I want pretty Shady Grove to say she'll be my wife. Shady Grove, my little love, Shady Grove, my darling. Shady Grove, my little love, well, I'm going back to Harlan. Kiss from pretty little Shady Grove, she's standing in the door. Shoes and stockings in her hair, little bare feet on the floor. Shady Grove, my little love, Shady Grove, my darling. Shady Grove, my little love, well, I'm going back to Harlan. Wish I had me a banjo string made of golden twine. Every tune I played on it, wish that girl was mine. Shady Grove, my little love, Shady Grove, I say. Shady Grove, my little love, I'm bound to go away. Shady Grove, my little love, Shady Grove, I say. Shady Grove, my little love, I'm bound to go away. Thank you very much. Now, no one knows if that song was written for a girl or a place. It's kind of always been undecided. But the verses kind of sing about a girl, right? Obviously. And the choruses sometimes sing about a place. So I like to think it's both. But I will be recording these songs with Colin J. McCaffrey in a studio in Montpelier with my family band. We're over there, pretty much. And so, yeah. Thank you very much. Are there any questions? We have one.
Thanks, JD. Can you tell us about variations in lyrics, in melody, in chords, and how, like, just tell us about how those develop, because obviously there's a ton of variation in traditional music. So just want to hear you talk about that a bit.
Yeah. So usually these songs are written like down, like originally, like the Carter family did, or recorded, and people would interpret them in their own ways through their own listenings of the recordings, and just like different interpretations of different songs and different ideas being placed on them was really how they changed. And yeah, and different people have different feels on them. No one really plays any of these songs the same. They're all like, I play them more jazzy with more of like a rock and roll kind of high energy type thing. But some people play them slow and quiet and nice.
Yeah, can you just talk loudly?
Great question. So traditional music is music that has been passed down through like old time England and places like England and Scotland and Ireland and kind of European, really more. But bluegrass music originates in America with things like the banjo, and that's kind of one of the bigger defining things, because the banjo doesn't actually come from anywhere else except Africa. So there's a lot of instrumentation in bluegrass that doesn't happen in old time. Yeah. All right, yeah. So the way I played Mountain Dew with that's more of a bluegrass thing, but an old-timey, they'll play a song like that, kind of more like, they'll usually just strum the chords. They don't really spend too much time on the harder things like complicated technique. So they'll just go like, and they're usually slower. Bluegrass has a much more higher energy. They'll sing it like, not very far from me, there's an old holler tree where you lay it down $1 or $2 and just take it down a notch. It's kind of a little bit slower, but in a lot of ways, there's this specific feel to it that has like a boom chuck, like a. It's a lot of downstrokes, but bluegrass is more like. There's that instead of. Yeah, that's kind of more of the difference.
So did like old-timey inspire bluegrass?
100%.
Or was it like a completely different?
No, they're very, very, very similar. And a lot of the bluegrass tunes that we think of bluegrass tunes are old-time tunes, like Old Mountain Dew.
Firstly, amazing job on the strings. You're really good at that. My question was, how many folk songs do you know?
Too many. Thank you very much. Thank you.